This is one of those, I think I can make it moment. I was on Facebook and I was seeing all these sweatshirts for Valentine's Day and they all had the ragged edges. And I thought, you know, we just made that rag quilt gift bag with the applique heart. I wonder if I can take that same process and make sweetheart sweatshirts. And that's what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to show you how I took the same process that I used with my rag quilt gift bag and turn it into sweetheart sweatshirts. The best part of this project, you don't need a template. I cut every one of these hearts out by hand, and every one of these shirts turned out unique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair a shirt with a gift bag, and that's going to be my Valentine's Day present for all my girlfriends this year. So let's talk about everything we need to make these sweetheart sweatshirts. First, you're going to need some fabric, and I'm going to be using a jelly roll because it's already cut into strips. They're 2.5 inch wide strips. If you're cutting from your own, use 2.5 inch wide strips. That gives a perfect width so that you can have 1/2 inch seams and have a nice seam to clip. You're going to need some heat and bond for the back of your applique. You're going to need some parchment paper. And when we get to the ironing part, I'll show you some tips and tricks and why it's handy to have some parchment paper on hand. You're going to need your snippers. It is a rag quilt project. We will be snipping seams. And you're going to need some painter's tape. This helps keep your seam nice and even. To cut out the hearts, once we're done and we have our panels, I'm going to use my scalloped pink and shears. This makes a really pretty edge on those hearts, but you can use regular scissors if you don't have any pink and shears. No need to run out and buy new ones. You need some sweatshirts. All the shirts that you see in the video came from Amazon. I'll leave the link below. For your machine, you just need to have your regular foot on there. We're going to be doing a straight stitch, and then we're going to zigzag around the edge once we get it on the shirt. So just a straight stitch and a zigzag. If you don't have a zigzag, you can straight stitch that as well, or you can hand embroidery it. Of course, you'll need your iron and bobbin and thread, so all the normal things. So that goes over everything that we need. Again, I'm using 2.5 inch strips of fabric in various lengths to create my panels. And when I say panels, I create a bunch. So here are all the panels I've created for this video. You can see I have them in various lengths, but they're all 2.5 inch wide pieces of fabric. So I just go through and I create all different lengths of fabric and widths of fabric so that I can have a variety of different hearts. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the machine. I'm going to show you how I put my panels together, but they go together just like a rag quilt. You're going to sew wrong sides together and you're going to have that exposed seam so that we can clip it. I'm going to take you to the machine and I'm going to put a 4-strip section of jelly rolls together, and then I'm going to cut that out into different panels. But for example, this sweatshirt here, the big heart, which is just so pretty. Look how pretty it is. It has 8 strips in it. So if you're looking to do a big heart like this, I used a 12 by 12 section of strips in my panel. I'm keeping this one for me. So let's go to the machine. I'm going to sew a panel of jelly rolls together, and then we'll use that as our example on how to put the heat and bond on, cut out our hearts, and make our sweetheart sweatshirts. And so let's put the panels together. I have my jelly roll strips here, and I'm going to pick up 2 of them and I'm going to sew them wrong side together. You see I have my painter's tape here. It is set at a 1/2 inch seam. So I have my jelly roll strips. They are wrong side together. I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch seam, and I have my painter's tape to help guide me along. And again, for your panels, just make up a whole bunch of different sizes. But again, your width of your material needs to be 2.5 inches for your strips. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and put my other 2 strips right in under here. Again, wrong sides together. And then I'll sew these together. Panel of 4. And I like to do mine light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. The jelly rolls, these jelly rolls are 100% cotton. I have done some of the appliques in flannel. I've done a combination of cotton and flannel. They all work. So I have a panel of 4 jelly roll strips here, and this is going to be used for the example. So I'm going to go to the ironing board and I'm going to press all of the seams to one direction. So you just build your panels however you want them and for the different size of hearts that you need. So for example, let's just do this. Let's make a big heart out of this one. I'm going to go ahead and just cut this one in half. And let's sew these 2 together. There's no right way or wrong way to do the number of rows in your panels. You just make a bunch, and then you can cut out your hearts, and you'll have a lot of variety to pick from when you're making your sweatshirts. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would make one of the big hearts. So we're gonna go to the ironing table and we're gonna press all of the seams to one direction. So I ironed all of my seams to one direction, and then I will flip it over and I'll just give it a good press on that side. Now it's time to put the heat and bond on the back of our panel. And here's where your parchment paper is going to come in handy dandy. So go ahead and get you a strip of parchment paper. And I use, when I'm working on this, my one piece of parchment paper will last me for the whole project. I'm just going to trim off to where I need my heat and bond. And if I'm doing a bunch of panels that are different sizes, I will just overlap them and put them all to fit on the heat and bond. So here's the heat and bond. It will go on the wrong side of your panel. What I do is I will put my parchment paper down. I will put my right side of my panel down, and I will put my heat and bond on top. And then I'm going to iron right on the back of this. What this parchment paper does for you, as you see here where there's this corner that is not hitting the material, if I was just to iron on that, that would go on my mat, and we do not want that. I'll iron right on top of this and it will go on the parchment paper, not on my mat. And again, I'm just going to iron directly on the back. So I do not start on the front of my panel when I'm putting the heat and bond on. So I really want that glue to stick. So I will just go directly to the back. And again, this parchment paper protects my mat. And then when I flip it over, you'll see that all of these white spaces here, that's where the glue used to be. So what happens is that glue comes off and it goes onto the parchment paper. You just have to remember to use the same side of the parchment paper and not flip it upside down. And you see there's glue right here. So don't put this side on top of your mat. And sometimes I will just take a marker and I will just put something there so I know that that's the side that always stays up. So I'm going to keep this on top and I'm going to put it right on here, and then I'm just going to go over it. Just be careful and not get to where that glue was. That's all the purpose of this parchment paper, is to not get glue on your iron or your pad. So that there completes a panel. And so you just make up a bunch of different panels. And like I said, let me go show you all the panels that I have made. So this is the panel I just made. And then see, they're all in different sizes. And like this one has cotton and this has flannel. Then this is all pink. And then here's just a solid color. So now that we have all of our panels done, the fun part is you get to cut out hearts. And I'm going to work on this one first. And again, I do all these by hand. I won't have a template or anything. I'm just going to eyeball every one of them. For this one, I'm going to have the seam in the middle. And it's going to be just like when we were in grade school and you cut out paper hearts. Just fold it on the center. And you can draw on there if you want to. I just don't. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to start cutting out my heart. And it is a little bit harder with the pink and shears or the scalloped pink and shears when you get to those seams. And then I'm just going to cut out a heart. And I'm doing this totally in real time. All right, are we ready to see what it looks like? Ready? Ta-da! How pretty is that going to be on the shirt? So now I will just go through and, like, there's scrap material that's left. You can cut little hearts from here. So for example, I'm just going to take this one, I'm going to fold it here, and I'm just going to cut out another heart. So I use as much of the material as I can. So that is the step. Once you get all of your panels done, it's just to go cut out a whole bunch of hearts. All right, so we have cut out a whole bunch of hearts. And again, it's just like being in grade school. So you just cut out a variety of hearts that you want for your sweatshirt. And the next step is to go put these on the sweatshirt. So let me take you back down to the work area, and then I'm going to lay out a sweatshirt, and then we'll talk about, but it's really easy. We're going to just peel off the heat and bond, put it on our sweatshirt, and we're going to press it to the sweatshirt. From there, we'll take it to the machine and we'll zigzag all the way around it. Once I've put my ironing pad in the sweatshirt, I peeled off the backing paper from my hearts, and then I organized them on my shirt the way that I wanted. Now I'm just going to come press them on the shirt. And I just press directly on them. I don't put anything on top of them. You could use that parchment paper. Just make sure you don't have any of the sticky stuff on it. But I just press them on there. And then I'm going to take them to the machine, and I'm going to zigzag all the way around the edges. And for this heart here that I cut out the center, I'm going to zigzag around the center as well. And you can see how quick and easy this project goes together, especially if you make a lot of your heart panels ahead of time or cut out your hearts ahead of time, then you could just sit down and make sweatshirts. If you have a Cricut press, this works well too. And then what I'll do once I have them pressed on is I'm going to flip my shirt inside out, and I'm going to iron them from the back side before I take them to the machine. And sometimes you have to get the heat from the back side, especially like on this flannel where you've got a couple different layers of material here. That's why I will flip this inside out and we'll iron them from the back side. I think they're absolutely adorable the way they are. So I will start by pulling my threads to the back of the machine. I will feed the sweatshirt in under the foot, and I usually work from the bottom up to the top. So I'm just going to lower my foot there, and I'm just going to zigzag, catching the edge. And it's really important to catch that edge. And when you get to the seams, you just sew over them as well. And then I just go really slow. And then if I have to stop and pick up my needle, or if I have to stop and pick up my foot, I will put my needle down. And then I'm constantly turning my sweatshirt. I have not found a fast way to do this. And then when I get to the deep V of the heart, I will back stitch until I can get to a part where I can turn. And if you're straight stitching, it's the same thing. You just stitch around it. It does take me a little bit of a time to do this because I'm just wanting to be really careful that I'm catching all the edges. The other thing you have to watch out for, don't do like I did. I sewed the back of my shirt on one of those other ones to the front. So just always make sure that you have only the front of the shirt under that foot. And then what I do when I come to the bottom of the heart, I'll put the needle down, and then I'll just stitch up a little bit on that one side. These are going to fray, so all of this in here will fray. You just have to make sure that you have caught the edge. Look how pretty that is. Then I will just move to the next heart. Again, make sure you only have the top layer on there. And again, starting at the bottom of the heart, I will just... Now, if it helps you to go ahead and clip that, if it starts getting bunched, go ahead and clip that seam and then clip your bobbin seam. But I don't like to take my shirt out from under the foot once I've got get it started. And again, just make sure that it's not doubled up on you. All right, so now I'm going to clip off all my strings here. And so that's not going to be something that's very exciting to watch. And then I'll pull out that one that piece of thread that I caught in there. But that's what I'll do. So let me get this cleaned up, and then we'll talk about clipping. So that is our next step. All right, I have it all cleaned up, and don't forget to clean up the back side too, because where you had all your bobbin thread, it's on the back too. So now I checked all my seams, so they look pretty good. They look pretty good. Maybe I might go over this one just a hair. It's just a little bit close, but for the most part, they're all good. So now it's time to clip. And you clip these just like you do on a rag quilt, except when you're over here by the zigzag, just clip close to the zigzag and to open up that seam. But you'll leave that one section in there that is caught with the zigzag. That's okay, because this part will fray. And then again, you do the 1/8 inch snips. These are my new scissors from Missouri Star Quilt Company, and they do look a lot like the Fiskars scissors, but they're a little bit bigger and they fit my hand better. And for clipping like this, these are great. I'll leave the link in there if you want to go check them out. And they're a little bit longer too. I guess the scissor part is a little bit longer than some of my other snippers. So I just go in there and I'll cut it on an angle, right? So you just follow that and then just do your little clips, but clip them really close together. So right here in this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip through the center, and then I'm just going to kind of open it up a little bit because that's where we cut that little heart out. So just any cuts in there will make it fray. And make sure that you get on your open seams, make sure you get both layers of the seam, but not that bottom layer. Right, I'm gonna go throw this one in the dryer for just a few minutes and we'll come back and close out the video. But I wanted to take a look at this one because this one turned out really, really pretty. So I used 8 jelly roll strips. The square that I cut the heart out was a 12 by 12. But this is just, and look how beautifully it frayed, and it's all 100% cotton. I think I need to do a few more of these. But again, you can make them all sizes, all shapes, whatever your imagination brings you to. But I just wanted to bring this one back up because it did really turn out nice. How much fun was that? And I bet you're so excited to go get some strips together, make some panels so you can make your very own sweetheart sweatshirt. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, could you give me a like, maybe share it with your friend? It really helps the channel and it helps me be able to make more videos. And if you really want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link in the description below. With that, I'm going to let you go because, again, I know these are so adorable. And remember, they don't have to be just Valentine's Day. They can be any material that you like. It's just up to however you want to design them. I'm Melissa. This is Make with Melissa. I hope you have a great day. See you. Bye.